Welcome to Talent Blazers. I'm here with Janine Garn from Leyton, who's head of talent acquisition. Well, welcome, Janine.
Hi, Dave. Thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this program.
It's great to have you. You're in London at the moment.
I'm
Leyton are
in London.
headquartered in Paris. Can you tell us a little bit about Leyton, please?
Of course, yeah. So we are an international consulting business, offices across, primarily across Europe, although expanding a bit more now into North America. We essentially are a consultancy business who facilitate access for businesses to what are quite complex financial incentives. So we kind of simplify that process, give them access to it, and then we have a kind of huge team of technical experts to maximize the return on the effort, if you like, to make sure that it gets much money back from the government. Who doesn't like getting money back from the government? And then that money kind of goes back into their business to help continue to drive innovation.
You've got a huge responsibility at Leyton. You're the head of talent acquisition. What does that role involve?
So my role, I've been with the business since October now. I've been with the business about 7 months, and my role really was to take, what was a talent acquisition function that was working really well, and just really kind of, move it into the future, if you like, and put a kind of digital strategy around how we're working. So looking at how we could drive efficiency, value through the recruitment process. Digitizing wherever we can, whilst also making sure that we're not losing that kind of human contact, and all of those touch points throughout the process that mean that we are really engaging candidates as effectively as we need to be.
And even though you've been with the company 7 months, you've done some amazing things, including rolling out a video strategy. Can I ask why did you move to video so quickly?
Yeah, I mean, it's so much that's already been written about how video is now the most effective communication tool. People spend much more time viewing a video than they do reading a print ad, for example. So my first thoughts were around getting video technology just to really bring job descriptions to life, thinking about filming hiring managers so that they're talking heads, just to stand out from the old job ads on a LinkedIn feed, essentially. But then kind of thinking about the broader uses that video could have. It just became really clear that video was going to be a great tool for us, pretty much throughout the whole of the talent acquisition process, and then also beyond. The video technology has many uses throughout the business, both internally and then externally in our interactions with our clients. So as soon as I could kind of visualize all of the ways in which video could be a really useful and effective tool for us, the business case almost wrote itself.
Yeah, you say that, but how did you go about writing the business case, and how did you get that approved?
I'm very lucky, actually. My boss, who's the MD of the business, herself is very digital forward in the ways that we're looking at the transformation across the business. So once I was able to demonstrate the value to her at all of the different touch points, it wasn't a hurdle for me to get over. Claire, thankfully, was really early adopter of the technology and could really see how much value it could drive to our business. One of the things that we were looking at, for example, in the business case, was how we could remove some manager hours from the process and replace those with video technology, for example. So I was able to demonstrate to her that it would be a huge time saving from the managers, as well as a cost saving of things doing it. So it wasn't a difficult business case to get over the line. More difficult was then getting it adopted through the business. So the actual business case presentation of it itself wasn't the tricky part.
So you mentioned the MD is a bit of a fan, and that's a great place to start when you're rolling out a video strategy. But what were the challenges that you encountered early days when you were rolling out a video strategy?
Yeah, I mean, the new thing, right? Some people are very hyped and interested about new things and want to get involved. Other people are very hesitant to get involved in anything new, especially when it comes to things like technology, and video technology. So it was trying to get people to visualize a different way of working and get people to visualize how the video technology could really help them in their day-to-day business. One of the other challenges that we had to overcome was that our business is essentially a business of two halves. We have this kind of real powerhouse sales function And then we have a really large consultancy side of the business, which is full of very, very deep technical experts, like literally rocket science PhDs. And so, you know, without wishing to stereotype the two groups, the uptake on the sales side of the business was much higher than on the consultancy side of the business. You know, the sales guys, for the most part, didn't really have any problem getting on a video and selling themselves and, you know, being engaging and warm and loving, all these things that you want salespeople to be. The people on the consultancy side of the business, and again, I'm generalizing, it wasn't everybody, but it certainly was the majority, were just a little bit more hesitant to kind of get in front of the camera, and were, I think, sometimes just a little bit more nervous around how they were going to come across. So it was really thinking around, you know, I couldn't just have one rollout strategy. I couldn't just have one adoption strategy. I had to think about, right, well, this is that one for sales and this is the one for consultants. And then let's make sure that we're driving them both mindfully through both of those populations so that we get the level of engagement from both that we want.
And how did you get these people who were a little bit shy or not wanting to be on video? How did you get them to overcome that to then create a video or two?
Yeah, a lot of hand-holding, essentially. So with a lot of the sales guys, we could kind of just give them access to the technology and off they went. But with some of the other guys, what we do, I say guys, I mean people, what we were doing was we would do a lot more kind of hand-holding to make sure that we were in the room with them. We were just being very clear on the fact that, you know what, you can do 5, 8, 10 takes of this video. It doesn't matter. Actually, it was quite interesting that we're showing them some of the videos. We got all of the senior leadership team to film videos and showing them that actually some of the most confident of people in the leadership team took 7 takes to get their videos right. Yeah. So actually it was completely fine to do it multiple times and just get people relaxed in front of the camera, you know, and get over that kind of initial camera shy fear that some people have. And just, you know, kind of taking time a little bit more and hand holding a bit more through the process.
Yeah. I think you've just shared some really good tips. One, getting the MD involved early, so top down, allowing people to use the product who mostly want to use it first, which is sales, and that's so common. They are very confident, and then really nurturing people who aren't so confident and maybe sharing some content of. But giving them the space to be able to be their authentic self and make mistakes, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah, exactly. And our MD actually uses the technology for her Friday wrap-ups, which is really nice. But and again, in quite a few of those, you know, she, you know, her daughter might run in, so she might have to, you know, have a little chat to her for a couple of minutes or so. So, you know, again, they're just really nice, kind of authentic videos. And I think her setting that direction of this is how we're going to use these tools. We're going to use these tools to portray our authentic selves, both internally and externally. Just really gave people permission to kind of relax a little bit more, I think, with the technology as well. It didn't have to be this very corporate kind of central marketing type of video. It could be a bit more relaxed and a bit more authentic.
So how have you kept the momentum going at Leyton?
Well, as I said, you know, I'm very lucky that we that the leadership team use. So actually, when the MD is away, one of the other members of the leadership team gets assigned to do the Friday wrap up. So we've all become, you know, very comfortable using the technology now, which is great. And because the leaders have then become comfortable using the technology, they then feel more confident driving that through their teams. So just getting people to think creatively around how you can use the technology. So for example, in talent acquisition, one of the ways that we're using technology is around our candidate interactions. One of the things that I wanted to do was kind of remove, as I said, manager hours from the process without losing that element of human interaction. And actually video was a really neat way for us to do that. And what we found was by continually interacting with candidates with these videos throughout the process, it was really building up that psychological contract before the candidates even kind of walk through the door, and that's before they even walk through the door for an interview, let alone before they get to hire. So, you know, people could see straight away already what kind of a business we were and what kind of people we were. And being able to kind of demonstrate the success of that from a candidate perspective gave people a little bit more confidence to then think about, well, how can we use these with our clients? And actually thinking about people in our account management and our client delivery team, you know, rather than just sending your client an email, send them a video. you know, and actually it's worked. And like most things, you know, it's a little bit of kind of hesitance initially, but then once it's been done one or two times and people really see the value and the effectiveness of it, then people, you know, are very happy to kind of start adopting. So it's almost really kind of taken on a life of its own. You know, I was very encouraged last week. I was doing some hiring with one of the leaders, and one of the first things they said to me was, let's film a video. So, you know, it wasn't me pushing it. It's very much become just part of the way that we do things here now, which is great.
It's a terrific place to get in and into that position where people are actually asking to create a video. It's a real testament to your leadership. Thank you for joining me on Talent Blazer. You've got a terrific story and a true talent blazer. Thanks, Janine.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.